On the way to Jerusalem he was passing along between Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered a village, he was met by 10 lepers, who stood at a distance and lifted up their voices, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. And he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks. Now he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus answered, "Were not 10 cleansed? Where are the 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" And he said to him, "Rise and go your way. Your faith has made you well."
Leprosy is a chronic bacterial infection. It's also known as Hansen's disease. It damages the nerves, mainly in the limbs, the facial area, and also leads to skin damage. And untreated leprosy can have severe complications, which include blindness and disfigurement. But contrary to popular belief, it is not highly contagious. 2,000 years ago, it was considered contagious. So all the lepers had to be separate from the healthy people. And we know that. I mean, that's a common perception. What we don't know is they used to have to stay apart, and they had to, as people approached them, the lepers had to yell, "Unclean, unclean," to tell the other folks to stay away. And then that was usually followed with, "Have mercy on us," because they were all alone and they had no food. So "have mercy" on us was to, please throw us some food or coins or bread or something so that we could live another day. And so today, the lepers in this story are doing what they always do. And they're at this place, they're at this in-between place between Samaria and Galilee. And it sounds to me like a border crossing, where people would come across the border to go into Samaria and others would go into Galilee. And that's what Jesus is doing today. So there's always a stream of people. So it's a perfect place to beg and ask for food or bread. And today's different because the 10 lepers took a chance with a minor celebrity that was passing by. Word got around in Samaria and Galilee just like it gets around in Rivera Beach. It's the coconut telegraph. They know when somebody's coming into town. And they heard about Jesus and maybe knew something about him and maybe not. But today they yell, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." Probably hoping for some food or bread. But the 10 lepers did not see what was really coming at them, did they? And that was healing. They thought, once a leper, always a leper, until I die. Nobody had ever overcome leprosy. Nobody that they knew. And the 9 Jewish lepers, because we know there was a Samaritan in their midst today, the 9 Jewish lepers probably had heard the story that we heard this morning in our first reading about Nathan, the commander of the Arameans. And they had probably heard that he was healed of his leprosy by washing in the Jordan 7 times. But nobody they knew had overcome leprosy. This was their fate. They were basically living dead. Living with leprosy is a little bit like living with a lie. You have that thing inside of you that's eating away at you, that's causing nerve damage, skin problems, etc. Living with leprosy is a little like living as an addict. You're existing and you're getting by. You're stuck in a rut. You're not prospering. It's just making it day to day. And you're just failing to prosper and get better. In some ways, we all live a little bit like the lepers, don't we? We all live kind of that false life where sometimes we're so tired or busy or whatever. We just go through the motions and we're just existing in kind of a false life, but not really prospering. We've experienced this closed-off life too, when we're away from others. In fact, a lot of us don't even know who our neighbors are. And I know that here at St. George's, a lot of the folks that live on the streets, I know they feel separate and apart from those that are driving past them on US 1. You know, you probably feel very invisible to those that just stop at a light, see you for a second, and then blow past you, going downtown or somewhere else. But this closed-off life isn't just experienced by those who are homeless or on the street. It's also experienced by those who are rich. These are the people who build mansions, and when they're trying to live this great life, they may isolate themselves from their own neighbors. And the middle class is no different, right? I live in a middle-class neighborhood full of houses. I talk to one or two of my neighbors, but mostly I just wave, or I just barely wave, as I get in my car and drive away from the neighborhood. So no matter what our class in society, it seems that we all kind of live away from neighbors. The other side of it is that we also treat people like lepers. We keep people away from us. It's all about us. It's all about me. It's all about my concerns. It's all about keeping my space, my 18 inches. There's something inside of us, though, each one of us, that wants to be part of a group and wants to be alive and wants to experience things as a group of people in a very alive fashion. It's kind of the feeling you get when you go to a music concert, right? And I went to one a couple months ago with my son. It's called the Wani Festival. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's up in northern Florida. You basically go all the way up on the turnpike until you hit I-10, and it's just slightly north of that. And I'd heard for years about one of my favorite bands, the Allman Brothers, playing up there. I'd liked them since I was a teenager when I was living here and played in a rock band. And now my son, who's 22, likes them too. So months ago, he found this Wani Festival online, and he called, "Dad, you know, the Allman Brothers are playing this thing." And it's like, great. You know, buy the tickets. Just get the tickets, take the opportunity, let's do it before, you know, we forget. He goes, "Well, I'm going to tell my friends." I go, "Forget your friends. Just buy them right now and then tell your friends." And that's what he did, because I just felt like we were going to miss another opportunity here. And so I invited my brothers, and one of them came. So the three of us went to this Wani Festival and saw all these rock bands, Southern Rock. I love Southern Rock. And the headliner, of course, was the Allman Brothers. And I got to experience that great feeling of, you know, seeing my group, but also being with like 10,000 other people. It was like a mini Woodstock for me. Right? You know, we're living on the land, living in tents. And as my wife says, no facilities, but, you know, I'm a guy. I was having a great time. It was fun. So that great experience of being with a bunch of people that are all enjoying the same thing, you know, that's just a wonderful thing to do every now and then. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, hopefully, when we come together here at St. George's, both at the church and in the community center, we feel that way. Hopefully, we cheer people on when they're baptized or confirmed, or reaffirmed like we did a couple weeks ago when Bishop Friday came for his visit. Now, hopefully we feel some sort of community when we come into this church. And I always say, you know, give each other a St. George's sign of peace. I mean, I think that is the time that we all kind of feel that. Back to today's gospel, you know, I'd bet good money that those 10 isolated lepers just wished to feel a fraction of what we feel here at St. George's. I think deep down they were just so lonely and isolated. And all they wanted to do was kind of feel that human contact that we kind of take for granted a little bit here. But today, in the gospel, they took that risk, and instead of just shouting, "Unclean, unclean," and begging for food, they yelled out to Jesus, "Master, have mercy on us." But they didn't see what was coming, right? They didn't know that Jesus would just simply say, "Go and show yourself to the priest." And as they walked away, they realized that they were becoming clean. That's a beautiful miracle, because they didn't even ask for it. Jesus was simply in their midst, and they shouted out to him, not knowing what was going to come. But they went on, and they were doing their duty as good Jewish lepers. They knew the law. The law was, go show yourself to the priest. If you declared clean, then you could go back to your family. But what happened in this excitement is they forgot to turn around and say to Jesus, "Thank you." Except for one, right? The Samaritan. The despised Samaritan. The foreigner. The ones that the Jews really pushed away. I mean, he was really a leper. He was like a double outcast. He wasn't even a Jew. He was a Samaritan, so he was the other person. So as the double outcast, the way Luke tells us the story today, he's the one that turns back to God and thanks him. Maybe those 9 lepers were just so overjoyed that all they could think of doing was getting to the priest and then being, declared clean and then going back to their families. I mean, God only knows how lonely and desperate they had been living in their little colony together. Maybe the lepers were just following the command of Jesus, go to the priest. And they just simply forgot. And they just didn't even think of the one who healed them. And maybe they didn't even have the faith that Jesus healed them. Maybe it just never hit them that it was Jesus was the one that was healing them. Because just like the first gospel, nobody actually reached out and touched them like Jesus did to the deaf and to the blind, where he rubbed something on the blind man's eyes and touched the deaf man's ears. There was no touching involved. There was no "I'm healing you." It just happened. So maybe they just didn't have faith. They didn't know that Jesus had actually touched and healed them. We could speculate on all these scenarios, but let's ask, what can we learn from them today? Aren't we a little like those 9 isolated lepers? We leave our isolation, we come here today to the church, and some of us just do our duty of coming to church. Do we even miss, just like they did, that Jesus was in their midst today? Jesus always said, when 2 or 3 or more gathered in my name, I am there in the midst of you. Are we like the 9 lepers that we're just doing our duty, which is good? I mean, they did their duty to go to the priest, but they forgot to thank the one that actually healed them. Or are we like the 9 lepers who just didn't think? It was all emotion, and they got involved in that. And we didn't think to turn around and thank God for just the little blessings that he gives us each day. So instead, what I'm saying is we need to encourage each other. We need to encourage each other's faith. We need to see through the veil things that happen around us, that Jesus is usually in our midst. I mean, he's always in our midst, but we have to see it. We have to recognize Jesus in our midst, just little things, just small things that happen during the day, and then place our trust in him. We need to be like the Samaritan, the double outcast, the one of the 10 that got the whole thing right. Remember, he didn't see his healing coming either, any more than the other 9. Yet he turned back to Jesus and praised him and thanked him for his blessings.